All right, good evening, everybody. This is Charles with the Exodus uh, Logistics Learning Center, America's #1 dispatcher and freight broker training. This is the dispatcher channel, Dispatcher 101 training for beginners. I'm going to speak to you about something that's getting ready to happen pretty soon in the industry, starting in um, October 2025. The elimination of the um, MC numbers for the motor carriers, right? So, so get ready from. So, what? How do you handle this from a dispatcher's perspective? What do you do to help and assist your carriers to be compliant with number one? But number two, why? What is the purpose of? Hey, Ladonna, what is the purpose of the elimination of the MC numbers and only keeping the DOT numbers? Why was it decided to happen? Why did they do it? Right, and what's going on? So I'm going to share my screen with a couple of with my email, so I can show you a couple of things that I came across, so we can understand what's going on. Let me share my screen. Uh, and with my email, share my screen with my email and see if I can share it. All right. So hopefully you guys can see that. Hey, Ladonna. So I'm gonna be sharing several emails. The first of which is I got a few emails here. So I'm gonna share my emails. Well, actually two. One has just PDFs. The other one has links. And the last link will be the one to the actual FMCSA website. The others are from different bodies that are in transportation, like factoring companies, so on and so forth. But it all has to do with the elimination of the MC number and why is that happening. So let's go up here. Primary. So this first email, the primary October 2025 rule change for truck drivers is the elimination of MC numbers effective October 1st, which is 2 days from now. So keep that in mind, 2 days from now. In the new system, motor carriers will use their DOT number as the sole identifier. And I'm reading verbatim so you guys can see that, right? Which will have a suffix to denote the type of authority granted. So with motor carriers, there are different types of authorities for the motor carriers. There are the common carriers of property except household goods. There are the contract carriers of property except household goods. There are the household goods carriers, and then there are the passenger carrier types. So this applies to all of those. Okay, this applies to all of those. So you're going to have a DOT number, and then you're going to have a designation after that DOT number for the type of authority you have. Now, what the designation will be, I don't know. I haven't yet to seen it. I haven't talked to FMCSA about it. But other significant regulatory changes in 2025 include potential updates to oral fluid drug testing. We all know about that with compliance. Now, this is a dispatch channel, so some dispatchers may not be aware. They may not help their carriers with compliance, so you may not be aware of the oral fluid drug testing, which is fine. Changes to the safety measurement system, the SMS, which is in the SAFER website, which is on the FMCSA's website as well. The safety measurement system has to do with compliance safety. So remember, this is the FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. Safety is a real big thing in this industry, especially with the motor carriers, because you have to safely guard the freight that you are transporting on the interstate and yourselves, your life, and as well as lives as others while you're on the interstate transporting the freight from pickup to destination. So safety is real big, right? And stricter rules regarding non-domiciled CDLs through these are not necessarily tied to October. So elimination of MC numbers effective October 1st. Okay. So, all right. What's changing? So these are some questions that's asked, and this is what they're addressing. What's changing? The MC number, motor carrier numbers are being phased out starting out effective October 1st. And this is it's not gonna happen overnight. They're gonna phase out. See the word that they use? And replaced by US DOT numbers for all operating authorities. Okay, that's what's changing. That's what's happening. I'm not sure if you guys are aware of this, but that's what's happening. Okay, how it works. Your US DOT number, you're being the motor carrier, right? If you're dispatching for a motor carrier, it would be the motor carrier that you're dispatching for. Okay. Your US DOT number will have a suffix added to it. Okay. Maybe one letter, maybe two letters. Who knows how many letters or characters after the DOT number will be added after that DOT number, which indicates the type of operating authority your company has. So this is for the trucking companies, the owner operators, the motor carriers, right? The suffix will say, hey, US DOT 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dash, and then the type of authority, the MC authority it has. Okay. Why is it happening? It's happening? The goal is to simplify the registration process, streamline identification of the motor carriers, and reduce fraud. So there's a lot of fraud going on in such a way that this decision had to come down and be made. Okay. And then other key regulatory changes to be aware of. We just mentioned the oral fluid drug testing, the SMS, which is the FMCSA, is updating its safety measurement system to streamline violation grouping and standardize severity weights. So, but the important piece of this is the changing and the elimination of the MC numbers, right? You got potential hours of service. Okay, update registration. So let's go back up. Other key regulatory changes to be aware of: stricter non-domicile CDL rules. Okay, that's kind of right here. Potential hours of service changes. Right, the FMCSA is considering, and truckers are providing feedback on potential changes to the hours of service rules. For those of you who are not familiar with the hours of service rules, that pertains to the number of hours the truck drivers can and cannot be only or active on duty while they're driving and delivering, or while they're resting and doing their reset hours. And it breaks it down. We have we talk about that in our class, particularly regarding the sleeper berth provision, although no specific October changes have been announced. Okay, so now, as motor carriers, what should you do? Or as dispatchers, if you're a dispatcher and you're helping your motor carriers to stay compliant and stay update, well, this is one of the things you should do. Update registration, right? Update the registration. So ensure your company's information or your carrier's company information. Remember, this is a dispatch channel, so you may be assisting your carriers directly or indirectly by providing them the information if they don't already know. Now, they should know. If they're motor carriers, everyone with an MC number that's getting ready to be eliminated should have been contacted, right? Ensure your company's information with the FMCSA is up to date. Well, you would, and then prepare. How do you do that, right? Prepare for login.gov. You have the motor carriers will need to use a login.gov account to register to update the registration, right? Stay informed. Keep track of updates from official sites such as the FMCSA website, which is the main website. This is the body that's making the change. So that's the main website we should go to. And we're going to go to that before too long after this. But I just wanted to give you some preliminaries and to stay informed about these and other potential changes. Okay. So that's number one there. And as you guys have questions, type them in the chat. I will look at them. But let me go to the other email or other PDF and give you some context again. So it's pretty much the same, right? This here, so that you see, and it's pretty much the same. So let me go to my other email, and here we go. So the links. So I got several links here, and the last of which I'm going to read is the link from the actual website, the actual FMCSA's website, which is the standardized governing body of this situation, right? So, but the first one is OTR Solutions. They're a factoring company. Triumph is a factoring company, and then there's some other individual companies that I want to say. But the last two links, and the last one is the most important one, but the FMCSA registration, the FAQs, and then the FMCSA registration, the identification. So let's click the link for the OTR, which is a factory company, OTR Solutions. So let's go to tab and just show you what they are talking about here. Elimination of, and this is the perspective of OTR Solutions, right? The final perspective I'm going to give you is from the actual governing body who is making the change starting October 1st, effective October 1st, 2025. Okay. But right now, OTR Solutions, right? The FMCSA, so elimination of MC numbers in favor of USDOT numbers, right? The FMCSA is launching a new registration system in 2025, actually October 2025, that will complete the transition from MC or motor carrier numbers to USDOT numbers as the primary identifier for all carriers. So the USDOT number will be the primary way that carriers are identified with a suffix at the end of it, right? This change is scheduled to take place by October 1st, 2025. So when they say it like that, when they verb it like that, now remember, this is not FMCSA, this is OTR's version of their interpretation of it. Okay. And they say, according to the official FMCSA information, the new system will simplify the registration process, streamline identification, improve the user experience, and incorporate enhanced verification tools. So it's trying to help with fraudulent behavior by those out there doing what they do fraudulently, right? This change will require updates too. Now, this is what motor carriers are going to be required to do. Company identification vehicle. So every vehicle, every asset that a motor carrier has to be updated. Business documentation and records, right? You have to go back and update everything. Registration information with states and brokers, right? Go ahead, update that. As you're booking loads with brokers, you're pretty much append or amend your information. And then internal systems referencing MC numbers. So all load boards, TMS systems, CRMs, things like that would need to be updated. Now, again, this is a dispatch channel. So if you are a dispatcher who's providing extra services other than dispatching for your carriers, then you would decide if you want to participate in that process, that transition, if you will. Companies should begin this transition early to ensure all materials and systems are updated before the official changeover. Now, I don't know when the official changeover will be complete. I know that according to the FMCSA, it's going to start October 1st. So who knows how long? Can you imagine? There's so many owner-operators, carriers, trucking companies out here changing their information to align with the change with FMCSA, right? So they will have to get back into what's called compliance. Okay. So now this is OTR Solutions information. So I'm going to remove that one, and that load board wants dispatchers to carry dispatchers to a carrier, verify them now. Right. So everything's getting into verifications. So this one again. So the next example, the next link that I want to share with you is the link from um, Triumph, which is another factoring company, right? So the first factoring company we just shared was um, OTR, OTR Solutions. Okay, this one is from Triumph, right? So let me scroll to the section right here with the FMCSA updates 2025, what carriers need to know. So trucking regulations are ever evolving as new challenges within the industry presents themselves. Now, this is a post or a comment from the Triumph family, right? Their perspective of what's going on, right? So, staying current with new regulations is important to your trucking business and its long term, right? So, in 2025, the FMCSA trucking general regulation policy introduced a number of changes. So, it's not talking about the section where the elimination of ELDs. I thought I had that in here on this point right here. MC, here we go. MC number elimination October 2025. Okay, I thought I had it. I just didn't scroll down to the area. My apologies. So, effective October 1st, 2 days from now, 2025, the FMCSA will eliminate MC numbers. All motor carriers will use their DOT numbers as primary identifiers. That you keep seeing that and hearing that key phrase. You're using your DOT numbers as primary identifiers to streamline registration. So now, from a dispatcher's perspective, what do we do now when we book loads for the carriers with the brokers? I'm assuming the brokers are going to be aware of this change as well, and they're going to start identifying the motor carriers based off of their DOT number with that suffix at the end of it, right? To identify what type, right? And the most common type that brokers work with are the common carriers of property except household goods. So whatever uh, suffix that's added to the DOT number to identify that type of carrier will be the one that brokers are going to start working with. Well, so let's say it's DOT number 987543 dash CC, right, for common carrier. So, or something that'll be easily recognizable for the brokers as well. Then we, as the dispatchers, will be uh, aligned with that concept as well. It'll nothing will change except the fact that there won't be any more MC numbers, and we, the dispatchers, will be able to recognize our carriers based off of their MC type or their authority. Now, we're not going to say MC hardly anymore. We're going to say authority type at this point, because the MC number used to represent the type of authority that the carrier has, right? Now it's going to be the DOT number dash whatever type of authority it is, determined by some kind of significant character at the end of the DOT number, right? And that part I don't know yet. So we'll wait to October 1st to see that. Okay. So, so all motor carriers will use their US DOT numbers as primary identifiers to streamline registration, simplify compliance, and reduce fraud. So these are the reasons why this change is made. So this simplifying, streamlining registration, simplifying compliance, and reducing fraud was such of a great need that the FMCSA has decided to eliminate the MC numbers. So you see that? See why the reason that's the reasoning behind it. Under the new system, you will need to create a login.gov account credentials to register with the FMCSA in order to change over from eliminating your MC number carriers, owner operators, trucking companies. Create a login.gov account And this is where you, the dispatcher, can offer your services to assist with that if you so choose, right? Some dispatchers just dispatch. Other dispatchers provide other services to their motor carrier, such as invoicing, helping with factoring, things of that nature. This can be another notch in the belt, helping your carriers make the transition from eliminating their MC number and going strictly to the DOT with the identifier or the suffix at the end of it. See the FMCSA's registration modernization FAQs, which we're going to next, for more information on this change. Note that all motor carriers must register in the FMCSA's new system, which will be launched later in 2025. So the MC number elimination starts October 1st so that everyone can get changed over, and then it'll launch later in 2025. I guess the date to be determined. That's my interpretation of it. What is yours? Right? So that's that one, right? Okay. So here's a bonus compliance strategy checklist. Be proactive. In other words, stay ahead of the curve. Be proactive in staying ahead of regulatory changes can help you avoid costly penalties and increase efficiency in your operations. That is true. Trucking companies. But if dispatchers can help you with that, then that would be even better. If dispatchers educate themselves in helping and being proactive and helping um, trucking companies staying ahead of compliance, that'd be great as well. And dispatchers, you guys can leverage your knowledge to assist. Right. So dispatchers will not. Here's a question asked in the chat. Will dispatchers need a DOT number? No, dispatchers will not need a DOT number. Dispatchers will not need an MC number. Well, obviously the MC numbers are going to be eliminated, but dispatchers will not be needing any type of authority. It'll be the same um, workflow, the same behavior as it has always been. The fact that dispatchers are booking loads for their carriers now just using DOT numbers and not the MC number. So when you call a broker book for a load that your carrier wants or that you found on the load board according to the profile of your carrier, you're still doing the same process. The only thing that's going to change is you're not giving the broker the MC number. You're giving them the DOT number with that suffix at the end of it to identify the carrier still as who they are, the authority type. So it's the same process. It's just going to eliminate the MC number. Okay, so you'll go through the same spiel with the broker. Hey, I'm calling about this load picking up in Norfolk, Virginia, going to Atlanta, Georgia for a drive-in. Is it still available? Broker says, hey, okay, well, typically or now they'll say, well, what's your MC number? Well, that's going to go away. And brokers are going to educate themselves as well, too. It's going to go away and we'll say, well, what's the DOT number? It's 983-254-CC or whatever identifies your carrier's authority as a common carrier, whatever that significant suffix is at the end of the DOT number. Okay, so can a carrier book a load with the old DOT number after October 1st? That's a great question. I think there's going to be a soft spot period from October 1st until the official launching of the required new DOT number with the significant suffix at the end of it and the old DOT number, because things has to still phase into that process. That's my opinion. So to answer that question, if I was a betting man, I would say yes, the old DOT number until something happens. So there should be so whenever change is made, there is a window, a gap in there to transition from old to new. So that gap window, there should be some allowance for the use of the old DOT number while the transition to the new DOT number with the significant suffix at the end officially comes into play. So again, if I was a betting man, I would say yes, but who knows with brokers and the FMCSA. But I think the FMCSA, thinking that this process is going to happen, perhaps have thought about that. Can old DOTs be used while the transition is being made to the new DOT with the MC authority blended in there somehow with it? So we'll see though. But that's a great question. Truck like us, it's a great question. We'll have to monitor that to see. So For those that's joining us, I'll do a recap like LaDonna has suggested. For those just joining, and it's like four of us in here. Some of them came in but came out. We're going over the October 1st elimination of the MC number and just strictly using DOT numbers. That was been decided by the FMCSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and we're just reading from different perspectives and white paper posts from factory companies, the second factory companies, and a couple of other opinions, and then we're going to go to the official FMCSA FAQs and the FMCSA registration website to give the official information about the elimination of the MC numbers for the motor carriers. Okay, and just strictly using DOT numbers, right? And the reasonings why. Okay, so let me go back to my email and click another one and share this tab. So, see that tab. And this is by RouteMate. This is a fleet management system. So, or like a TMS or a CRM. So MC numbers going away, and it's highlighted right there. Okay. So starting October 1st. So everybody's pretty much saying the same thing. I'm just getting the perspectives from all the different outside groups before I go to the main resource that is doing the change, which is the FMCSA, right? So I'm giving you preliminaries prior to the real thing. Okay. So starting October 1st, the FMCSA is getting rid of MC or motor carrier numbers. Most carriers, trucking companies, are identified by their MC numbers. The MC numbers are the type of authority interstate transport authorities to move freight in commerce interstate to get paid, right? It is a interstate type of authority. The DOTs are intrastate, but they're going to mix the two now. Everyone will just use their DOT number instead. This makes paperwork simpler and helps stop fraud. So that's one of the key indicators of why this is happening, right? Streamlining the registration process, removing fraud, things of that nature. With this new system, your US DOT number will get a special code. There we go, special code added to it that shows what type of authority you have. Now, how many characters or digits in the special code the FMCSA will issue has been yet to be determined. And do I know that? I don't know that yet, right? You won't get separate MC numbers anymore. Make sure your US DOT information is up to date on all your paperwork. So in other words, once you get that new US DOT number with the special code on it, then you, the trucking company, owner, operator, carrier company, need to go back, circle back, and update everything that's related to your US DOT number. All the information with your brokers, compliance information, updated with the new DOT number with the special code. That's what they're saying. Once you get that new DOT information, you got to circle back and update everything. But that's common sense, right? That's literally what you got to do because you'll stay in compliance there. Okay. So now let's go to the FAQs. Okay. And see it right here. Now we're at the end all be all site where everything gets sourced from. Every load board, every TMS system, every information that's dealing with transportation scrubs their data from the FMCSA because this is the end all be all site wherever they are on the site, of course, right? So I'm going to go to the location right here. US DOT numbers, MC numbers, and safety registration. Okay. So will the FMCSA stop issuing MC numbers? This is from the official FMCSA website, right? So whatever they say, this is what's going on, right? This is their site. FMCSA has proposed no longer assigning MC numbers. Okay. Consistent with statutory requirements, the US DOT number, Department of Transportation number, will become the sole identifier for all FMCSA registrants. In other words, people who apply for an operating authority through the FMCSA by filling out the OP1 form, which is the application to have an authority either as a broker or as a motor carrier, is considered an FMCSA registrant. You register with the FMCSA to get your authority. That's how it works. Okay? So, individual registrants, or some people who applied for their authority, held by a distinct employer or a person will be identified by unique suffixes. So now it's more than one character. How many, we don't know. Unique suffixes within FMCSA's system as required by MAP 21. MAP 21 is a legislation back in 2021, moving ahead for progress, not 2020, I'm sorry, back in, I forget the year, but moving ahead for progress. MAP stands for moving ahead for progress in the 21st century. It was one of the things that was changed was the broker requirement from 10,000 to 75,000, along with other things. I'll look that up again just to get some information later on. This change is under consideration and will be available to comment on in a notice of proposed rulemaking. So this is the process that the FMCSA is going through in the process of making the change. Okay, this is what they do. Okay. It will not go into effect with the first release of the new registration system. Okay, so that's interesting to know. The elimination starts October 1st, but who knows when it will go into effect? It says it will not go into effect with the first release of the new registration system, right? So you would have to familiarize yourself with the FMCSA's website. If you are a dispatcher, you should be doing this anyway because that will benefit you indirectly and your carrier directly. You are providing a what's called a added value or a value add for your carrier. So if FMCSA stops issuing MC numbers, will existing MC numbers be replaced by USD? So this goes back to truck like us question, right? The old DOT numbers and the new can a carrier book a load with the old DOT number after October 1st? So let's read that part then. This goes back to that, right? This is a question and this is the FAQs, right? So if FMCSA stops issuing MC numbers, will existing MC numbers be replaced by the USDOT? No, they're saying no. So if they replace the MC numbers and only use DOT, that old MC number is not useful anymore. It's no longer useful. That's the old MC number. Now, truck like us asked a question with old DOT numbers and the new DOT number with the suffix. So it's kind of apples and oranges there, right? So if FMCSA, Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, stops issuing MC numbers, existing MC numbers will not be replaced by the DOT numbers. No. So the moving ahead for progress in the 21st century, that MAP 21 Act, and it quotes it here, requires all FMCSA regulated entities to have a US DOT number. So the new DOT number with the suffix at the end of it will replace everything. It'll replace the MC number, of course, and it looks like it may replace the old DOT number, which is the same number. It just has a suffix at the end of it, right? So to comply with MAP 21, moving ahead for progress in the 21st century, FMCSA began assigning US DOT numbers to brokers, freight forwarders, and motor carriers. This is when MAP 21 first began, who operate non-commercial motor vehicles and did not already hold a US DOT number. Okay. The MC number or the MC docket number, which is official MC numbers, were never a statutory or regulatory requirement. Interesting. Historically, now this is giving some context to it. Historically, MC numbers were used by the FMCSA to track proceedings related to a single operating authority registration and not to identify a specific person, employer, operator, motor carrier, broker, or freight forwarder. That's historically. Okay, so a little bit of context there, right? So the need for separate tracking numbers or the MC numbers for each type of registration, whether it's each type of registration, meaning the common carrier of authority or the broker of property or the household goods carrier or the freight forwarder, became unnecessary when all operating authorities became nationwide with the elimination of route specific and common or contract authorities, and with the newer requirement for all regulated entities to hold a USDOT number. So now, rather being replaced by the DOT numbers, FMCSA is considering phasing out the MC numbers, right? Because the MC numbers were only used for tracking purposes. The DOT numbers still technically identified the types of authorities. This is their logic behind, or one of the pieces of their logic behind removing the MC number as well. And they're giving you some historical data behind it, right? Specific types of operating authority registration would instead be indicated by a suffix added to the USDOT number for each type of entity, each type an entity may hold. Okay, so now we have to understand what that suffix will be, how many characters it is, and what is going to be identified at behind the DOT number. That is the issue that we want to, or the, I should say not issue, but the ambiguity, the uncertainty that we have at this point right now. And yet we have 2 days to this starts, right? We have to understand what the suffix will be behind the DOT number to identify the type of authority that the trucking company and broker from this case will have, because brokers have MC numbers as well. So this is also effective for the brokers. Okay. So what is the difference between a US DOT number and safety registration? Can a registrant have multiple suffixes after their DOT number? That's an interesting one. And will existing registrants get new DOT numbers, or will they keep their current DOT? That's another interesting one. So let's go through that. That's a good question. So let's go back to the top one. What is the difference between the US DOT number and safety registration? So is that an interesting question? Okay, so now I think load boards, Vaughn Bryan just asked a great question too. How are dispatchers able to maintain a load board when they are required a DOT number? They do not issue the DOT numbers to dispatchers. They do not, nor do they issue, the load boards don't issue MC numbers to dispatchers either. They issue MC numbers to the carriers and the brokers. But I think load board designers and developers are going to have to change their philosophy with their subscriptions to the load boards to be in compliance with the FMCSA to match the DOT dash suffix identifying a broker or a motor carrier now that the FMCSA is changing, because most load boards require you to have an MC number. I'm not sure if they also say a DOT number. They're going to have to change their internal development process to match this change. So that's a great question, Vaughn Bryant. So how is that going to? So it's going to have a trickle down effect on everything. Once the MC number is eliminated, it's going to affect TMS systems. It's going to affect load boards. It's going to affect a lot of things, right? And the whole concept. Luckily, I acquired the DAT board before they changed this rule, so I was grandfathered in. So now, that's another great point. Will the grandfather rule with MCs apply to individuals with subscription to load boards once MCs are eliminated? So if the MCs are eliminated, whether you're grandfathered in or not, they're eliminated. So it's like they're non-existent. So I think the load board manufacturers are going to have to, or the developers are going to have to change, right? that now wants carriers to verify the dispatcher in order to create an account and dispatch. Right. So that does do that. That says if you have a dispatcher, whether they're internal or independent, in order for you to get an account with us, we need you to verify that. Right. So that says no more dispatcher accounts for subscription. So to get around that, the whole that thing, if you have a carrier you're dispatching for, just use their, well, now DOT number with the suffix to purchase the subscription. You don't have to be verified as a dispatcher. Just use your carrier's credentials to verify the subscription for the load board account, whether it's that or whatever. Right. That's why I like the beauty of 123 Load Board is it allows, because I have a relationship with the owner of 123 Load Board, Lauren Mertzen. We can subscribe. We can do a 30-day trial for free, and then we can decide. This is dispatch companies now. We can decide to purchase basic, premium, or premium plus without being required to have an MC or DOT number as a dispatch service. You can still get access to that load board. Now, I pray that other load boards like that and Truck Stop follow the same suit as 123 Load Board. They'll have more subscribers or purchased subscriptions to their software if they follow that philosophy. Can you imagine? There's a lot of dispatch services who are being blackballed because they don't have an authority in order to purchase a subscription to their load boards, but they use or leverage their carrier's credentials in order to do so. Okay, so let's go back to that point here. What is the difference between a US DOT number and safety registration? So the US DOT number is a unique identifier that the FMCSA uses to identify an employer or a person's operations. Okay, the DOT number, not the MC number, the DOT number. Okay, MAP 21, which is moving ahead for progress, added a new requirement for safety registration. Now, this is just for the safety part of it. Now, this doesn't really have to do with the MC number and things like that. This is more on the safety. So I'll skip this paragraph and go down to the next one. You can go. I'll send the links if you guys want it. You can go down to the to this area and read this for yourself. But can a registrant have multiple suffixes after their DOT number? That'll be an interesting question. There. Vaughn Bryan wants to get more information about the 123 Load Board. So we have a unique link in our website. I'll connect that link here where you can join 123 Load Board for free using our promo code and our affiliate link, to get 30 days for free to 123 Load Board. And then after 30 days, you decide as an independent dispatch service, if you are, to purchase a subscription to one of their three versions. The basic, I think it's $39.99 a month. The premium, I think it's $59.99 a month. And the premium plus, $79.99 a month. I think those are the numbers, but they all are less than $100 per month. And the higher the number, the more features and functionality it has. Okay. So, and I'll put that link with the promo code in the chat. Matter of fact, let me do that now. Let me go before I forget, to the website. Let me share my tab here. This is my website. I do trainings for dispatchers and freight brokers. You guys are, well, obviously I do. You guys are on the channel. So under services, affiliates, and partners, and you could have went to this site because anyone has access to this area. The access that you don't have access to is for those who are paying for the subscription and paying for services. What did I say? 123 Load Board promo right there. Okay, so right here, promo code 48,000. That's the promo code. But let me put the link there. Let me share that tab. We see, here's our logo for 123 Load Board, and here's 123 Load Board's logo. We have a partnership, right, since 2022, about 3 years, over 3 years. So I'll copy the affiliate link, which is get123loadboard.com/ELLC. ELLC is our acronym, it stands for Exodus Logistics Learning Center. Okay, so I paste it here. There we go. And just use promo code 48,000 to set up your 30 days for free. And then after 30 days, you'll decide, which type. And I think it gives you that option while you are setting up the free 30 days. It'll say after 30 days, if you decide you want to purchase one of the subscriptions, which one would you decide? Or I think once it comes to the end of 30 days, it may give you a heads up saying, hey, your 30 days is about to come up. Which one have you decided, do you want to do a subscription or not? And then go from there. Okay. So let's go back to the other one and get back into the elimination of the. So can a registrant have multiple suffixes after their DOT number? So FMCSA says yes. Okay, so it's answering that question, Truck Like Us. Yes, a registrant may have multiple suffixes after their DOT number to identify specific registrations they hold. In other words, different types of authorities they hold. They may hold a broker authority, so it may be a US DOT number with a broker suffix. And remember, the brokers have two types of authorities: the broker of property except household goods and the broker of household goods, right? Or it may have a suffix identifying and right here. So what they're saying is that it's in the next sentence: an entity or the person who applied with multiple operating authorities. So you have a broker authority and a motor carrier authority will have more than one suffix reflected in FMCSA systems. Okay. Suffixes will not be required for marking commercial motor vehicles, but would be required by statute for identifying on documents for business transactions involving freight forwarders, brokers, and motor carriers, or for hire non-exempt carriers. So what they're saying is each suffix identifies the type of authority an entity or a registrant or someone has. So you may be an asset-based brokerage, right? What does that mean? Asset-based brokerage. Someone who has a trucking side with an authority and someone who has a brokerage with an authority. So your DOT numbers now, because you'll have a DOT number with a suffix that identifies the type of authority that you have under the brokerage. And then your DOT number with a suffix will identify the type of authority that you have as a motor carrier. So let's review that again. The DOT number with the suffix that identifies the type of brokerage you have will either identify the broker type as broker of property except household goods or broker of household goods. Okay, that's under the broker side. And then the DOT number with the suffix that identifies the authority type on the motor carrier side will identify you as a motor carrier, common carrier of property except household goods, contract carrier of property except household goods, passenger carrier, or household goods carrier, because there are different types of authorities for the motor carrier. There are two types for the broker. So the suffix at the end of the DOT numbers, the two separate DOT numbers, will identify your broker type and your motor carrier type. So yes, Truck Like Us, there can be multiple US DOT numbers, but the suffixes at the end of those DOT numbers will identify the type of authorities that they have, whether it's a broker type or a motor carrier type. Hopefully, does that make sense? We just have to identify how many characters the suffix will be, whether it be alphanumeric, in other words, a mixture of numbers and letters, how many characters, how many digits. They haven't really specified that yet, right? That has yet to be identified and known. So it says, will existing registrants get new US DOT numbers, or will they keep their current DOT number, so their old number? So existing registrants, those who already have DOT numbers and MC numbers that are going to be eliminated, will keep their current DOT numbers. Okay, so those who already have a DOT number, who's already has an active authority, will keep their USD DOT numbers. Previously, registered brokers, freight forwarders, and motor carriers not operating non-commercial vehicles who never received a US DOT number in the past will receive a USD DOT number as required by the statute. Okay, so what does that mean? If you are a motor carrier with an MC and DOT number right now prior to October 1st, your MC number will be eliminated. You'll keep your DOT number as you have it, and then a suffix will be added at the end of that, identifying the type of authority you had or have that the MC number had identified that was eliminated. But now it's going to be added to the suffix. It's going to be added to the DOT number as a suffix to identify what the MC number was that went away of the type of authority. Right? So you'll keep your DOT number, and that the DOT number, the old DOT number with the new suffix added to it, needs to be updated now in the system for the FMCSA. You guys understand that part now? You get it? So if I'm a trucking company right now, right, and this is September 29th, right, I am a owner operator. I have my MC and my DOT number registered as an owner operator of, I'm a carrier, a motor carrier of property except household goods, right? So I can drive and transport general freight. I'm just a regular owner operator with a regular MC number. The MC number identified me as a motor carrier of property except household goods. And I have a DOT number also. So if you go to the Safer website, you'll see my MC and my DOT number, right? So you can look up any truck driver, right? The MC. So let's do that. Let's go to the Safer website to bring home the point of this example, right? So I'll go to Safer, and let me share this tab. And Safer is the DOT's company snapshot. You can look up any broker, freight forwarder, carrier based off of the name of their company, radio button, the MC number, radio button, and the DOT number, radio button. Coincidentally, you would think too, since we're eliminating the MC numbers, that on Safer, this should go away. It should just be DOT now and name. You would think, right? Stands to reason. If they're going to eliminate the MC number, then this option should go away also. What are your thoughts, right? My thoughts are that if they're not using it anymore, then what's the point of it being up here? Does that make sense? It should just be now DOT and name. But anyway, let's look up a company. Let's just put A, just to look up a company. And then do a search. And any one of them, right? So right now, for example, this company here, okay, it doesn't show them having an MC number. It shows them having a DOT number, but they don't have an MC number. So they're just running DOT, okay? But if we had one that was just, let's go back, that was just, that had a both MC and DOT, and I want to find one. I'll look up one that I know, but my buddy of mine's company, he'll kill me for using it, but that's okay. Crossover Logistics, right? So he is an active and Hampton carrier, right? So for example, right now, currently, prior to October 1st, right, the DOT number is here and the MC number is here, right? They're active authority. Now, with the change of just the going away of the MC number and the adding to the DOT number of the suffix to identify the type of authority it is. I don't know if it's going to have the number, dash, however many characters it is to identify. I don't know how they're going to identify the type of authority. I don't know that yet, right? Whether it's going to be dash, A, dash, X, dash, or a number, who knows? Whatever that process is going to identify the trucking company as either a common carrier, contract carrier, passenger, or household goods, whatever that becomes. The MC number will go away, and it'll just be the DOT number so it'll be the same DOT number. Here's the point. the same DOT number will be kept. There won't be a new DOT number issued. It'll be the same. There won't be a point of creating a new DOT number. You already have one, right? What would be, that's just extra work in the eyes of the FMCSA and the eyes of the carrier. Why create a brand new DOT number? Just use the same one that's still active and add the suffix to it to identify the type of authority that the person has. Does that make sense? Right? Did that part make sense? Keep the same active DOT that's still out there prior to October 1st. Add the suffix after October 1st to identify the type of authority, and then remove the MC number. I think that's probably the easiest solution that the FMCSA is considering doing. Are we on the same page there, guys? You're keeping the same number, right? According to what we are reading, right? And this is the FMCSA's official site talking about this. Okay. So existing registrants will keep their current DOT number, and it says it right there. You're going to keep your same DOT number, and then you're going to have a suffix added to it. You're going to keep your same DOT number. The MC number is going to be removed, and then the DOT number is going to have a suffix at the end of it to identify the type of authority you have. That's the solution. Okay. And then previous registered carriers, brokers, freight forwarders who didn't receive a DOT number will get will receive one. If you didn't have one, you're going to receive it. If you already have one, you're going to keep it and have a suffix added to it. Okay. If you didn't have one, you're going to receive one, a DOT number with a suffix added to it. That is the information we have so far about it, right? And then how is all this going to be done? You have to create an account with login.gov, identity verification, and business. So you have to verify, you have to create your account with login.gov through the FMCSA. Your identity has to be verified, and your business has to be verified in the eyes of FMCSA in order to be recognized as a new company starting October 1st, as a new company with compliance to this new process, right? So, and it says it right here. Will I need a login.gov account to use the new FMCSA registration system or the new DOT system with the suffix eliminating the MC? And it says, yes, you do. You have to create a login.gov account. You have to comply with the new process of the change. Any individual, business, insurance, financial institution. So insurance or financial institution is the bond companies or the insurance companies, the bond companies for the brokers, and the insurance companies for the motor carriers. So again, let's go back. Will I need a login.gov account to use the new FMCSA registration system, right? So I'm talking to brokers now and dispatchers. So dispatchers, you can educate your carriers or use this as leverage to get new carriers, letting them know, hey, have you changed over to the new system starting October 1st, where just your DOT number with the suffix will be used? Well, how do I do that? I wasn't even aware of that, says the carrier, right? So, and you'll say, well, you have to create a login.gov account first, identify who you are with your DOT number, and then your business verification too with your EIN number, things like that. You have to identify all that stuff, right? Well, then they say, yes, will you need to do the login.gov? Yes. Any individual, trucking company, owner, operator, broker, business, which they are, trucking companies, brokerages are businesses. They have the EIN number, their entity number, to identify themselves as a business. Insurance, Progressive, or whoever you're using as an insurance, or financial institution, which is the bond companies, the insurance companies. Blanket companies, BOC3 filers, that's a requirement for brokers and motor carriers. They have to have a BOC3 filing, which is the designation of a process agent. Transportation service providers. What are the transportation service providers? Those are the brokers. Those are 3PLs. They are the transportations. They provide a service in transportation. That's what brokers do. They arrange for the transportation of freight. So instead of them saying broker here, they're saying transportation service provider. So I'm translating the verbiage on the FMCSA website so you guys can understand what it really means, right? Or authorized agent. If you assign someone as an authorized agent for your company, your brokerage or your carrier, then you fall into the category of having to create a login.gov account. Authorized agents using the new system will need login.gov account credentials to access the system. So that is the only way into this new process, is to funnel your way through login.gov. If you, the trucking company or the broker, does not have a login.gov account, you need to create one to start the process of the switch over from elimination of your MC number and only using the DOT number with that suffix. Okay? And they have an executive order about it. Executive Order EO 14028. Improving the nation's cybersecurity and Office of Budget Memorandum, or the OMB Memorandum M2209, and all these other, requires federal agencies to use multi-factor authentication for access to government systems. That's just login.gov requires you got to show multiple ways to access the system, and they're just quoting the executive order and the OMB number to tell you that. FMCSA's new registration system will use login.gov to provide this required multi-factor authentication. So this sentence right here, from here to here, tells you what that multi-factor authentication process, why it's regulated because of the executive order and the OMB, the budget, the Office of the Budget Memorandum requires. And then the FMCSA is saying, we're going to follow their lead and require you guys to have a login.gov account in order to do that. So will I need a login.gov account to use the new FMCSA registration? Yes, you do. Yes. The simple answer is yes. Right there. Okay. Any questions there? Take a break. I'm juicing, guys. Juicing. Juicing and watering. Ooh, that one's strong. No questions there? Okay, so let's make sure that we have your information, your attention here. If I'm not a regulated entity, or if I don't have an EIN number or regulated, do I still need an account to take action in the new FMCSA registration to support my clients? What's the obvious answer to that? If you're not regulated, you have to get regulated, right? I give you that look like, duh. I shouldn't even read that, right? That's an obvious, right? So yes, it says it right there. Yes, all users who make filings or submissions with the FMCSA will need an account to access the new registration system, login.gov. They're telling you we're switching to login.gov, and to be compliant with this new change October 1st, you have to have a login.gov account. There's no way around it, right? So for everybody who's listening on this channel or who's going to be listening later on, your dispatch services or brokerages, you have to, for as a dispatch service, if you decide to assist your carriers in this process, then this is a value add for you. You can add value to your dispatch service by providing this service, this added service for your carriers, if you so choose. Okay. So, public users may access and view public data through the system's website without an account. Yeah, because it's public, right? Again, another duh, right? Public data. There's no need for any access credentials if it's public. Just like the FMCSA's website, that's public data. There's no need to have an account for that. So the same thing applies. If you are a public user accessing it and viewing it through the public space, then yes, you don't need an account. FMCSA will allow all service providers, financial responsibility filers, blanket companies, and process agents to establish accounts in the new system before it is actively used for regulated entity registration management. That is a great thing to do, FMCSA. Thank you. They're allowing these accessorial companies that are part of the makeup of having an active authority as a broker or a motor carrier. They're allowing them inside the system to have access to create an account, to establish accounts. So all BOC3 companies, brokers, financial institutions, whether they're insurance companies, bond companies, they're allowing them to have the ability to create login.gov's accounts. So everybody can be in one unified location and everyone can see each other. That's my perspective. Okay. So will existing registrants, those who already have their MC and DOT numbers, but are just going to eliminate the MC number and have a suffix added to the DOT number, they're existing registrants. So will existing registrants have to go through identity verification and business verification? Let's see what they say. I would think no, because I'm already an established business. But here's what the FMCSA says. To ensure data integrity and accuracy in FMCSA's new registration systems, all existing registrants will complete identity and business verification before completing any transactions in the new system. So they're saying, yes, you have to go through, even though you are an existing entity, you still have to go through the identity verification and the business verification in order to align with the new system. So that makes sense, right? FMCSA will share more information on when and how to complete this process in the future. But does that make sense, guys? Does that make sense? I think that's a good thing. Even though you're an existing company, you have identified yourself as an existing registered person and an existing business verification. To be compliant with this new change in the login.gov system, you still have to go through the new process. Does that make sense? Talk to me. Does that make sense? Because some people will ask that question. Well, I'm already an existing company. I have to re-identify my business and my identity. Yes, because they're trying to avoid fraud. So you have to circle back. So people who don't have a business or cannot identify themselves, but are on the books as being an existing registrant, a lot of people are going to get exposed, right? A lot of people are going to be exposed. So what happens, and this leads to the next question, what happens if I can't complete identity verification when creating an account? Right? What happens? FMCSA is introducing identity verification to maintain data and integrity and to fulfill the agency mandate to only registered entities who are willing and able to comply with statutory and regulatory requirements. If you have issues completing identity verification, you can reach out to the FMCSA's contact center at their number and may be referred to a designated physical location to complete the process. So if you can't complete it, you got to complete it. If you can't complete it, reach out to the FMCSA to see why you can't complete it, because your reason for not completing it could be fraudulent or it could be legitimate. In any case, the FMCSA, to protect themselves, is saying, okay, whether it's fraudulent or not, you'll be exposed later on, but whether it's fraudulent or not, reach out to us, because we're the governing body that determines identity verification as well as business verification. So reach out to us. We're the end all be all. So we don't care what reason why you can't verify yourself. We want to know, and we want to see what's going on, whether it's fraud or not. Okay. So they're protecting themselves. They're streamlining the process. Right? So, and then what does FMCSA consider a valid principal place of business, PPOB? And how does a principal place of business validation work in the new registration? So you can read that. Basically, they're saying your principal place of business is one of the factors that's used to identify and verify your business, right? I'm not going to read all of that, but that's one of the things that they're factoring in. Okay. Any questions here before I move on a little bit? And then we get into the point of closing. But is this information helpful, guys? It kind of breaks down, because I know some of you may have heard of what's going on, the October 1st change, the elimination of the MC number, and the added suffix to the DOT number with the login.gov requirement. So just want to know, is it helpful? And is the breakdown helpful, from the actual source? When you want something down to the very last compound, down to the nitty gritty, you do what? You go to the source, right? You go to the source. And the source for us in transportation is the FMCSA's website. And ding, 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 this is where we are. Right. So new registration system release and functionality. So I don't want to read all of it, but some of the general stuff, and we'll end it right there. So we'll end it. So we'll go right here. Why is FMCSA developing a new registration system? That is a great question. Why? Why are they doing all this? Why are they eliminating the MC numbers and just only using DOT numbers and streamlining the process? Great question. Vaughn Bryan said, it seems like it's going to be a big hassle for some. It may. It's only going to be a big hassle, Brian, because of fraud. If you are an entity out there, and I'm not saying you guys are, but for those who are on the listening channel who may be an entity out there acting fraudulently, you're going to be exposed, because you got to create a new login.gov account. And even if you're an existing registrant already on the books on paper, you got to circle back and re-identify yourself, your identity, and your business. And there's a new process to that. So fraud is going to be exposed. And then once you get into the new login.gov system through the new system, now everything is centralized and tight, right? So it can kind of possibly eliminate some fraud. So in a sense, it's a great thing. It may sometimes change is good. But if you're doing it the right way, if you are behaving as a legal entity right now prior to October 1st, switching over to the new system and getting into compliance with the new system shouldn't be a problem. If you're doing it the right way already, why will there be an issue changing over? Right? If you're not doing nothing wrong, you shouldn't have anything to worry about. That's my logic. If I'm not doing anything wrong, I don't have anything to worry about. Right. So, why is the FMCSA developing a new registration system? And they'll explain that. I'm not going to read all that, but you can read it. It's basically for fraudulent purposes, streamlining the registration process. So, when will the new FMCSA registration system go live? The first release of the new one is planned for 2025. So the October 1st thing is part of the release. That phase one is eliminating the MC numbers. So right here, with phase releases of additional functionalities to follow. So the first phase in the release of this registration system is the removal of the MC numbers beginning October 1st. So it's happening in stages and phases, okay, in order to get to the final process. Just so you guys can understand that. Change happens in phases, right? Here's a great question. Will the new FMCSA registration system send automated notifications to users when updates are required? And they say yes. So everyone who's registered with the FMCSA as a broker, freight forwarder, motor carrier, FMCSA will use the new registration system to provide automatic or automated electronic notifications. FMCSA also intends to allow registrants to opt in to receive automated service of registration related notices and orders by electronic means. If a registrant does not opt in for service, they will receive routine communications electronically by any order or notice that could result in a change to registration status and will continue to be mailed. So you're going to be notified either electronically or automatically. You're an existing person. Will I be able to access the registration system on my mobile device? Okay, that's yes. We won't go. We won't, yes, simple answer. Yes. Will a carrier be able to make changes to their information in the new registration system? Yes. Will I be able to download my own FMCSA letters and orders in the new registration system? Interesting question. That probably has to do with the DOT suffix as well. And registered entities will be able to download letters and orders related to registration actions using the new registration system. I'm assuming so. Once you create that login.gov account, you should be able to manipulate that account as you see fit or as they allow and give permissions to do so, right? So, how will the new FMCSA registration system impact intrastate carriers? Now, what's the difference between an interstate carrier and an intrastate carrier, right? That's a good question to ask. Interstate, INTER, state, can operate and move freight among state lines from state to state. Intrastate operates mainly within their state. So the system, so how will the new registration system, the FMCSA registration system, impact intrastate carriers? The system will still allow intrastate carriers to obtain a DOT if their state requires it. Okay. Those carriers can submit an application for a DOT number as intrastate carriers and go through the same identity verification and business verification process as other system users. So nothing's changed, right? Please note that FMCSA will not track or monitor state requirements in the new FMCSA registration. They're only going to monitor interstate, not intrastate. So, okay. Is the registration fee expected to go up with new FMCSA registration system, with the new registration system? There are no planned changes to the registration fees associated with the new release, with the initial release of the new system. Okay. Any adjustments to registration fees will be proposed during the publication of the notice of proposed rulemaking regarding the unified registration system enhancements and updates. So they don't plan on doing it yet, or maybe not at all. Okay. And when will we learn more about the functionality in the modernized FMCSA registration system? A federal registered notice, which should be through the FMCSA's website or received by all registered brokers, carriers, freight forwarders, about the functionality of the new registration system will be published prior to the release of the new system. Okay, that's good. In addition, it is the intent of the FMCSA to continue to share progress of development with the public. Okay, great. So we'll end it here, guys. Okay. And open up for questions and close. We've been up here for a good hour and 18, almost hour and 20 minutes. Okay. So just go on my website here. So again, this is the Dispatcher 101 Training for Beginners YouTube channel. The reason why I put it up here, not on the, I mean, I can just copy the link to the broker channel, but we want to make sure that dispatchers also, sometimes dispatchers are like looked at as the last people on the totem pole, but we have a great responsibility too, right? We're helping our carriers. We're not only finding freight for our carriers, but we're helping them maintain compliance if we choose to go that route as well, right? Keeping their businesses running, because that indirectly affects your dispatch service, right? Because you can't make money for your dispatch service if your carrier is not compliant. Now, not only do they have to pick the load up and transport it, but they have to be doing that in compliance, right? So with this new change that the FMCSA is launching, the removal of the MC number, does it not make sense for dispatchers to have some level of understanding of what's going on and decide if you want to assist your carriers in the change or the transition to the new process through the login.gov account, removal of the MC number, adding the DOT, keeping the same old DOT number but adding a suffix to it, all of those things. We just read through the whole process of how it's going to happen. The only ambiguity or unknown that we have is how many characters the suffix is going to have that's going to identify the type of authority a registered person has, whether they are registered as a carrier, as a freight forwarder, as a broker. Right now, we don't have that. We can call FMCSA and because they haven't decided that part yet. But so questions, open up for questions right here before we get off. Any questions? questions. And then we offer, for those of you who are on this channel, this is a channel there's a lot of subscribers. Of course, we still offer our Dispatcher 101 training for beginners training always. So basically, when I book loads for the carrier, excuse me, the audio, I would just need the new DOT number with the new. That's correct. Yeah, until that happens, you'll still give the same information of your carrier to the broker until they transition to the new system, right? So yes. And Brother Charles, I need to get you on the podcast. I call you. Yeah, I don't know what number. You said you called me or you will call me. And what podcast are you speaking of? And when do we schedule it? But yes, Bryant. So basically, when I book loads for the carrier, I would just need the new DOT number with a new suffix, right? So right now that is unknown as far as the new suffix. How many characters is going to be at the end of it? Like DOT number, so many numbers. Like there's usually 6 or 7 numbers for the DOT number, and then dash whatever suffix it is, right? It could be 1 character, it could be 2 characters, it could be multiple characters. We don't know that yet. The FMCSA they haven't determined it or not, right? So Truck Like Us podcast, okay? Yeah, and by the way, I'm getting back into dispatching myself, so I'm looking for carriers to dispatch for. So any carriers out there that's listening on this channel and beyond, of course, I know what I'm doing. It's just been a while since I did it. Drive-ins, flatbed reefers. I have people sending me hot shot carriers, box trucks, which is going to be a challenge. But hey, primarily 53-foot drive-ins, 53-foot reefers, and 48 or 53-foot flatbeds. So we got 2 people on here Q&A. Everybody's getting off the channel, so that I guess that's a sign for me too, because I only have 2 people left, me and LaDonna. So, but thanks for listening, guys, because there's only 2 of us here. I'm assuming that's me and LaDonna. Oh, and hot shot. Hot shots make money more than drive-ins. So on the podcast, maybe we could talk about that. What are some equipment types that are profitable right now in the industry with the economy the way it is? What lanes they run, what directions they go, and how can you as a dispatcher benefit from that, knowing that, right? So if hot shots make money, then I'm assuming maybe out of Houston going towards the southeast, maybe up to the Midwest and back for the hot shots, running LTLs and partials, understanding how to do that, right? So any questions, right? Got a few minutes. I can stay possibly to another 6 minutes to like an hour and 30 minutes, which is we've been on here a lot. So I think did we break it down as much as we needed to as far as the FMCSA and the information so that you can understand? Will this make you a more well-rounded dispatch service. The entire Midwest, no need to go south. Far as so with hot shots, truck like us. With that being said, then I'm assuming you have relationships with those brokers that runs those lanes in the Midwest, like the Michigans, the Ohio's, the Pennsylvanias, the Kentuckys, the Illinois, Indianas, right? So the Midwest area, back and forth, right? Running partials, because three partials on let's say a 40-foot hot shot trailer could add up, right? So, okay. No partial, straight truckloads. Okay, well, that would be maybe that could be the topic of discussion when we set a date and time for the podcast, Truck Like Us, or one of the things. How long is the podcast? Is it like an hour-long podcast, 30 minutes, 2 hours? How long is the podcast? 30 minutes. Okay. You can get a lot accomplished in 30 minutes. When do you, I guess, well, you'll call me. We'll set up a time. Call me or email. I think I put my phone number there. I'm going to put my email in here as well. That's logistics. All right. And we probably can set something up this week. This week is the off week as far as trainings. Looking at my calendar. Yeah, this week is the off week as far as my training, so I have a little bit of more flexibility this week. So, okay. All right, guys, we good? No more questions? All right. I'll email you tomorrow. Okay. Thank you very much, Truck Like Us. So, what email is it coming from? Something with trucklikeus.com domain, or so I'll know what to expect. Right. And okay, he says yes. Okay, so if there's no more questions, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and just go straight to my mugshot, and hopefully you guys got all your questions answered, and hopefully the topic and the content that we discussed this evening was well received, and you benefited from it. That's the whole point. And it made you a better dispatch service, right? Even having the knowledge of that, right? So, okay. All right, guys. Thank you. Of course, this is live, so you'll get notifications of this, right? So you can share it with your friends, with someone who you think can benefit from it. Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys. Have a good one.